Thank you for staying with us. This is Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. In a couple of days, it will be June 12. Nigeria will be celebrating 26 years of unbroken democratic rule. A lot of Nigerians have been, commenting, have been saying things. Of course, some Nigerians are happy about it. Of course, generally, we should be happy because regardless of what it is, just like the president said recently, democratic rule is still the best, is still preferred to military rule. Before now, we had, the military rule. At the beginning of the program, I mentioned that on the 9th of June, 1998, that was 27 years ago, Major General Abdulsalami Abubakar was sworn in as the 11th head of state of Nigeria. But thankfully, in 1999, we started practicing democracy, and we've had it unbroken for 26 years. That is come Thursday, 12 June. It will be 26 unbroken years of democracy. How have we fared as a nation? We'll be looking at that in the course of the program this morning, and especially the case of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Rivers State. You would recall that on the 18th of March, 2025, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu declared a state of emergency on Rivers State. He also removed the governor. He suspended the governor, executive governor of Rivers State, Governor Siminalayi Fubara, his deputy governor, and of course, all the members of the House of Assembly in Rivers State. A lot of Nigerians have criticized that move, saying it is extrajudicial, so to speak, because critics cited Section 305 of the Nigerian Constitution, which makes provision for declaration of a state of emergency in any part of the country. And in no place, in no part of that Section 305, does it empower the president to suspend elected political office holders. So a lot of people kicked against it, including the Nigerian Bar Association. They said it was an illegal act, illegal move by Mr. President. Nevertheless, it still went through. The National Assembly later ratified it, and the president appointed a sole administrator to govern Rivers State. Critics have also pointed at Section 188 of the 1999 Constitution, which makes provision, for removal of political office holders and vests that authority on the State House of Assembly alone. Again, Nigerians have argued that the president shouldn't have done that he had no right suspending the sitting governor, elected governor and his deputy, and of course the elected members of the House of Assembly. But like I said, since March 18, that move stood because the National Assembly later ratified it. Now let's talk about the governor of Rivers State, suspended Governor Siminalayi Fubara. A lot of people have been speaking. Some people actually thought that he would be reinstated on May 29. Some people thought he would be reinstated on May 29, but that did not happen. Recall that after he was suspended on March 18, in April, the suspended governor actually made a trip to London to visit the president. He made a visit, he paid the president a visit in London where they had, closed-door discussions. Then again, just last week, the suspended governor again, that's talking about Governor Siminalayi Fubara, also visited the president in his Lagos State home, in his Ikoyi home in Lagos. On that particular visit, a lot of people said the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, was not even aware of that visit. It was unannounced. Recall that the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, has always made it known that his intention was to remove Siminalayi Fubara. He just wanted him out of office. And they're saying he would have achieved that if not that the president saved the governor of Rivers State by declaring a state of emergency. But later, after so much, conversations, meetings, discussions, later the governor of Rivers State went to visit Nyesom Wike with two top politicians, APC governors, to apologize, so to speak. Then later, Wike came out and said he's not fighting Fubara. He cannot fight his son. In his words, I cannot fight my son. He's saying Fubara is his son. That he's only fighting those who are instigating Fubara to disrespect him. Who are those people? I mean, some will say there are people like the governor of Bayelsa, say Doyediri, and some other politicians right there. But again, the question remains, what happens now? Now that Fubara has visited the president in Lagos, let's look at it this way. There are different sides to it. If the president decides to forgive Fubara, some people are calling on Mr. President to pardon Fubara come June 12th, or not before June 12th. June 12th is just a couple of days away. We've heard reports that even former President Goodluck Jonathan had an extensive phone call with Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, trying to, put pressure on him to forgive, to pardon, so to speak, suspended Governor Siminalayi Fubara and reinstate him as the duly elected governor of Rivers State, or not before June 12th. And several other well-meaning Nigerians too have been putting pressure on the president to reinstate the suspended governor. What happens? Will he listen to them? Only time will tell. I think we should just keep our fingers crossed. Joining us on the conversation this morning is Robin Emmanuel. He's a public affairs analyst. Good morning, Robin.
Yes, good morning. It's nice to be on the show with you this morning. And, well, I feel privileged to be here anyways. And I want to commend Nigerian politicians that have been holding democracy down since 1999 till date. I mean, when people deserve their flowers, you should give it to them. And when they deserve to be constructive criticized, then we should not keep quiet. So kudos to them for holding it down. I don't know what kind of agreement they had with the military personnel, but whatever agreement they had with them, especially in this era in West Africa, where military are taking over. You talk of the likes of Burkina Faso, you talk of the likes of Mali, you talk of the likes of Niger Republic, and all. So I'm glad that, we are growing and we are stepping up. So it's a good one to be here. Good morning.
Absolutely. Good morning. And thank you for joining us once again. Now, let's look at Fubara'S fate come June 12. As June 12 approaches, what is Fubara'S fate? Will he be pardoned, so to speak, by the president? A lot of people have been calling on the president to, reinstate him. Even though a lot of Nigerians openly disagreed with the president when he declared a state of emergency and removed the governor, saying there is no provision for the president to do that in Section 305, citing Section 188 that vests the authority only on the National Assembly. But the president did not only suspend and remove the governor and his deputy, he also suspended the entire House of Assembly in Rivers State.
So let me start from the people. There is a problem, and it's like a pandemic in our country. It is called the people's problem. We have problem normally as a people. You know why? If I don't like you, okay, let me use myself as an example. There's a little illustration. When I was in secondary school, I don't like my math teacher. And that is why till today I don't know mathematics. I get to say that I want to get married to a woman that understands mathematics so that you can help our kids. So whenever the teacher comes in, all I have in my head is, Oga, do fast and leave. So once I don't like you, there is nothing positive I want to see about you. Now, that's the first problem we have in Nigeria. Nigeria right now, because of the hardship and because of Mr. President decided not to be a Father Christmas in his administration by removing everything the past administration have always subsidized for us. We don't like this administration. So whatever this administration get to do, we criticize it, either good or bad. If it's good, we got to say.
But hold on, Robin. Let's look at it from this angle. Let's look at the suspension of the governor, for instance. On March 18, when the president suspended the governor and removed him from office. Let's look at the facts now. The Nigerian Constitution, the 1999 Constitution, clearly states the modalities, for declaring a state of emergency. We can find that in Section 305. It did not empower the president to remove, suspend a sitting governor, hold on, and elected officials of the state.
Yeah.
We've had state of emergencies declared in Nigeria before now. When Goodluck Jonathan, former president, declared a state of emergency in Adamawa, Borno, and Yobe, the governors were still there. He didn't have to remove the governors. So in this case, why is it different? He declared a state of emergency, fine. Why did he have to, Nigerians will say, why did he have to remove the governor? And the entire House of Assembly?
I would say, and I will say again, see, as much as I'm not partisan, but I'm a realist, Nigerian political sector is a corrupt place. Nigerian political association is a dirty thing. And that is why they always say politics is a dirty game. And when you are going into a dirty game, you should be ready to play dirty and get dirty. And that is what we are in this country. So you have to be smart. And one thing about the president is he always stands in the place where you will get verdict. He gets there before you. And I'll tell you why. Now, if you talk about, let's talk about the Bayelsa, and the president will always use its own discretion. It happened in Ekiti. The governor was removed. There was a time they had issue. It happened sometime in Anambra when Peter Obi was there. As a matter of fact, Peter Obi was impeached. Now,
by the House of Assembly.
By the House of Assembly. Now, this time the House of Assembly had a shaking legs. As a matter of fact, they were not there. As a matter of fact, Fubara demolished the complex where the House of Assembly member always get to sit. He said he was going to protect them because their welfare lies in his hand. So from there, he goofed. The president actually goofed. Because I'm not talking like I'm pro-president or anti-Fubara, right? I just want to pick out some point. The president shouldn't have said suspended, because in the 1999 constitution as amended, when a state of emergency is declared in a country, or I mean in a state, the governor automatically stepped down for the space of 6 months. I guess that was what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was trying to explain before he said, oh, and he has been suspended for 6 months. On the norms, if he hasn't said anything, the governor knew he was supposed to step down for the space of 6 months. And if you take a look at it very well, the governor, Fubara, was by every chance trying to make sure he finished the political career of the 27 House of Representative members that are against him. They were all in the same PDP and they defected to APC. And because of that, he knew the implication of these guys going to APC. Now they are now the majority and anything can happen. He goofed by presenting the budget in a space of his 4-person's room. It was about 4 person and the governor, where they presented 800 and something billion budget for a whole state. A minority can never and cannot present a budget of a state. They did. And don't forget that in December 2024, the president had a meeting with Fubara twice. Called him the first time to Abuja, the State House. They had a meeting. When Fubara came back, Fubara said he was forced to do this. They had another meeting. He said it was under duress. And I realized that the enemies of Nyesom Wike are the people behind Fubara, pushing Fubara. And I feel like Fubara should have woken up. Somebody who won the whole states for the president, Tinubu, APC member. Then he won the whole state for you, PDP member. Then he delivered to all of the honorables, including the senators and the rep. Then you should be wise enough to understand that.
You're talking about Wike right now, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about Wike. You should be wise enough to understand that this guy is a playmaker. If you watch football, there are some players on the field that you know these guys are playmaker. If you remove, they are not defender, they are not striker. They don't score and they don't defend. But you cannot remove them because their roles is very significant. That you need to understand that this person's role is very, very important. But he tore with Wike's. However, don't forget that he was the accountant general in Wike's administration. So for Wike to have picked him, they must have had an agreement. See, no godfather will pick you to come and go to somewhere or represent them somewhere in this country that does not have an agreement with you. Then if you get there to breach the agreement, then be ready to face the consequences. Now, the likes of Atiku Abubakar, the likes of the governor of Bauchi, Bala Mohammed, the likes of the governor Duro Ediri of Bayelsa, and before this man died, that's this elder statesman, Edwin Clark.
Yes.
They were all against Wike. Why? Because Wike supported Tinubu. Why did Wike support Tinubu? We need to understand that after the primaries, when Atiku won, however, Atiku was not supposed to contest because it was time for the Southerners. Atiku was not supposed to go. Rabi Kwankwaso was not supposed to go.
That was Wike's point.
So you will see. But Wike agreed that now that you have gone there, Now you still cannot put the national chairman of the People's Democratic Party in the north because the national chairman then came from Benue. You have to remove him and bring somebody from the south so that we can work together. At least we know, okay, let's please our party. And let me tell you, the only politician in PDP today that has never decamped since 1998 is Nyesom Wike. Even while he's working with the APC administration, he will tell you, I'm not working with APC, I'm working with president. And there is no time you will recall that I sat down with APC board of trustee to have any meeting. Even the APC had issue with the president. So to me, I feel like the president loved Fubara so much that he declared state of emergency.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I feel. That's my personal
all right,
opinion.
Robin, away from the politics now and the godfatherism, it's quite clear Nyesom Wike, city minister, he has a strong hold on River State politics, no doubt about that. But let's look at the president's action at this point. Talking about democracy and upholding the tenets of democracy in Nigeria, the president is the #1 citizen of Nigeria. So, of course, his actions will be mirrored. People will x-ray all his actions, all his moves. Now we are talking about celebrating 26 years of unbroken democracy come June 12th. That's just a couple of days away, Thursday. Let's look at the president's action. So away from, of course, we are Nigerians. We know the politics behind it. We know what's happened, godfatherism and all that. But let's look at the president's action. He declared a state of emergency in River State. He removed the governor, the sitting governor, the deputy and the House of Assembly, which a lot of well-meaning Nigerians, eminent Nigerians, including legal luminaries, said was a wrong move. But nothing happened. The National Assembly, they had no choice. They had to ratify it because they've always, of course, most Nigerians will say, ratify whatever the president does. So they did that. Now we are approaching June 12 again. Now, well-meaning Nigerians have been calling on Mr. President to reinstate the governor, even though they believe ab initio that that move was a wrong move, it was illegal. Yeah. So do you see the president doing that, reinstating Fubara?
I do not see it. I do not see it, and I have my reason. If you study Tinubu very well, yes, I was born and brought up in Lagos, and for a very long time, I don't reckon with the president because I feel like, why is the leader of Lagos always coming from one side? Up to now, I still ask myself why. But have you asked Lagosians, are you guys even ready to take the power from this person and take it to another person? The other person that wants to take it, are they even ready? Example, the likes of Jandor that contested for governor under APC has gone under PDP, has gone back to the APC. You ask why? Let me not dive into that. But let me tell you that they call the president master strategist. Yeah. You know, most of the time I get to look like, what is this? But I've realized that he always waits for you. The place where you feel like that is where your power ends is where it will start. Now, don't forget, recently they appointed Justice Kekere Ekun. If I become the president today, or I have the opportunity to do some selection or arrangement in Nigeria today, I won't let the president appoint the Chief Justice of Nigeria. It will be appointed by merit in their sector. I won't let the president appoint the INEC chairman. It will be appointed by the next person in line. Just talking about the Judicial Council being responsible for appointing. Yes. So, you know, this one, it's like we have like two particular associations in the same faculty, the judiciary, and then you have the Nigerian Bar Association. Absolutely. Yes, they are the same thing, but they have different bodies. Different bodies. You understand? The Nigerian Bar Association are saying, "Oh, this is wrong." The judiciary are not even coming out to. I don't even think they really addressed the matter the way we want to be, because see, there are different ways. I'm not a lawyer, but I know there are different ways by which people see law and by which the professional sees it. Me, I feel like the president goofed. He shouldn't have said Fubara was suspended. But normally in the constitution, when there is a state of emergency in the state, there's a reason why they declared it. So the governor needs to step down. The president did not say, in fact, in his statement, he might be reinstated before the 6 months. But there is what's it called? There is a time of 6 months. So people should stop expecting that maybe... For an initial period of 6 months. An initial period of 6 months. So people should stop guessing or expecting that by May 29 or June 12, you have been seeing some kind of play. I said it, that there is much possibility that Fubara will come back as an APC governor. And somebody say how. And before you know, Sheriff Oborofuri of Delta State as the camp,
Umo of Akwa Ibom have also the camp.
Yes, as the camp. And I feel like I still expect more people.
You know what, Robin, talking about Fubara returning and decamping to APC, like you said, I was actually going there. Okay. I was trying to go that direction. Now, look at Fubara right now. Look at Mr. President. Everything seems to be working for him. How do I mean? Now the president is sitting right there. Fubara visited him in London. Fubara also paid him a visit in Lagos. Now, they've had discussions. Definitely, the president is in control of the game right now. He has Nyesom Wike, also from Rivers State, working for him. Nyesom Wike has openly declared that he will personally lead Tinubu's campaign for re-election in 2027. Now we also have Fubara, who has gone to visit him unannounced. So whatever the case might be, it's still playing out in favor of Mr. President, because if Fubara chooses to decamp to the APC, it's in favor of Mr. President. So even if Fubara does not decamp, the president can reach an agreement with him.
Definitely.
That's it. Fine. If you go back as PDP, just know that I am still
going to do what we did the first time.
I'm still going to get Rivers at the presidency. So whichever way you choose to look at it, all the cards are still in favor of Mr. President.
Let me tell you something, sir. There is no politician in Nigeria. I don't want to say the whole word because I don't know about other countries. But in Nigeria, there is no politician that think about the people first before they think about themselves. Self-interest is what is killing us. And it's like that. There are three major sets of rulers in this country. The traditional rulers, the political rulers, and the religious ruler. No pastor wants to sleep at night, and we first pray that, God, let my members wake up in peace. They pray, Lord, let me sleep and wake up in peace. Then maybe later you remember.
Well, some Christians might disagree with you on that. Well, your opinion.
Because I know that an average human being is selfish. If there is a food here today that you will eat and you are hungry since yesterday night, and I'm hungry, and they brought a food for one person, there is much if I don't know that they brought that food, there is much possibility that you will hide it so that I will eat first before you eat, at least so that it will be okay for you. It's normal. I don't blame you for it, because that is how it should play. Nigerian politicians does not see Nigeria politics as a call to service. They see it as a place where they can survive. And that is why a former governor embezzled 700 billion naira, and up to now, the EFCC hasn't said anything. A former governor was alleged of stealing 1.3 trillion naira in Delta, and after little months, he decamped, to the ruling party. A former governor was accused of stealing 110 billion, and EFCC could not pick him. And this man still lives in Nigeria. Then you chase young boys that are either Yahoo. I'm not a Yahoo fan.
I call them upcoming Yahoo boys.
You understand? So the real Yahoo men are doing Yahoo with Agbada that has a very good stash.
On a large scale.
On a large scale. And we are not talking. So that is how you see. And I always say something on every platform where I talk, that the number one problem of Nigeria is secrets. As the president is like that, I feel like Wike has some kind of secrets that the president cannot even dare. Because at the point, it looks like it is, Wike, what do you want? We should declare state of emergency. No problem. Because if the president had not declared state of emergency, they will impeach Fubara and nothing will happen, sir.
Let's look at it from this angle again, Robin. Let's look at it from this angle. Talking about the state of emergency here, some people will say it kind of took Wike by surprise, because Wike himself said the president actually saved Fubara.
It's obvious.
Because Wike was hell-bent on removing Fubara.
And they were going to remove him that day.
So the president did what would favor him as president.
So that Fubara will come and negotiate. That's game. That's what people need to know. The president, like now Fubara will dance to all of the tunes the president drums. He will not just dance to the president. If Fubara actually loves Rivers, sir, I am saying it on the national television that he should resign. And say, see, at this point, I don't want to be governor again.
No, we're talking about resignation, Robin. At Evan Clark's funeral service, Governor Siminalayi Fubara spoke. And if you look at him, yes, he said,
does not feel like going back to the house.
He said
again.
those who are fighting for him should even ask him, is he still interested in going back?
It's a political statement, sir.
He said, my spirit has left that place.
His spirit still lives there.
He said his spirit has left. Now, like you rightly said, if truly it's about the people of Rivers, if his spirit had left there, why didn't he resign?
Why are you still going to Lagos to meet the president? Why are you still ups and downs? Sir, power is sweet, sir. Just be the head of this organization. Test the power for like 1 month. See the way people are saying, Oga, 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 Oga. Something started growing inside you. It takes somebody who has the spirit of God to even control that kind of spirit, because it will be pushing you. You just want to address people like up to around the boss. Now, not talk of you being a governor, a number one citizen of a state. Imagine Wike was going to visit Bayelsa and he made a public conference and said Wike should not come to this state. Wike did not go. Nobody criticized, nobody talked. People kept quiet. People were ailing Dure. I am telling you, right today's day down, it will still play out one day, because Wike does not forget stuff like that. When it happened in Benue, when Peter Obi wanted to visit Benue,
and I told him
not to come. Do you see what people did? And that's why I said we have the people's problem. We tend not to look at issue rationally. We just want to look at it from the surface, from the way of hatred. And there is no way you are hating somebody and you will see anything good from that side. And to me, Peter was going to play political games. He was just going to use, the injury they have in that place to, But
hold on, Robin. Some Nigerians who beg to disagree with you on that one, because before now, Peter Obi has actually been going to other IDP camps. He's been, engaging in a lot of philanthropic activities, giving to people in IDP camps. So it wasn't the first.
So let me ask you,
he has a track record.
Before Peter
he has a track record of doing. He's been doing that before.
Hold on. Before he started the presidential race in 2019, when he contested with Atiku, that was when Peter was like officially introduced to Nigerians. And for every debate they went, it was Peter that was talking, and he talks in figure. That's why I like him. You mentioned numbers, though there were mistakes in some places, but I like it when you talk in figure. Like when you were talking and then you were stating in June this, I love analysis like that, right? And I want to ask you, before 2019, where was Peter Obi? Now, I will tell you something. Why I respect the president, even though I'm not a fan. When he finished his administration as governor of Lagos in 2007, he did not contest for any other thing. He started a movement. The movement took him 20 years before he achieved it.
The progressive.
I was privileged to be where Dele Alake was once upon a time. And he said he was going to contest for governor in Ekiti. That's the current minister, solid material. The current minister of finance was going to contest for governor in Ogun State. The current president told them, no, we have a journey and it's so long. And they started winning state one after the other. Peter will be one of the under Abga in Anambra. I wish Peter had stayed from Anambra, win Enugu, win Imo, win Ebonyi, and he can start to grow. So it was like the president opportunity met him while he was prepared. And for Peter, he was unprepared about it. And that's why it's like that. So I'm just saying, it's not like he has been making that move. Now, any movement a politician move like this at this period, you get to feel like, oh, it's because of election. But when you check their track record and you feel like, oh, this person have been doing this thing before, at that point, it will be the people calling you to come and lead them.
You know what, Robin? I'm talking about track record. You mentioned Peter Obi, even though he's actually not the point of focus this morning. But you mentioned him talking about where he was before 2015. He was governor of Anambra State.
I know.
And he came out during the campaign. He came out with facts and figures. Yeah. How he saved so much for Anambra State. How the people actually impeached him because they called him stingy because he cuts down. He successfully cuts down on the cost of governance.
His strategy.
So he is saying there's so much wastage in Nigerian government system. So he's been cutting down the cost of governance. When he travels, he said, why should he be traveling with so many people? Going to Abuja with 100 people, with 30 people? It doesn't make any sense. At all. Or why should he have a house in Abuja? I mean, so he came up with different strategies, I mean, to cut down spending. And he actually saved so much for his state.
That was brilliant.
To the point that they even called him stingy. So Nigerians, a lot of Nigerians even said, we need such a stingy man as Nigerian's president. Someone who will cut down on the cost of governance. Someone who is not interested in stealing public funds. So he had that going for him. And he alone, Peter Obi, became a brand a lot of people voted a Labour Party
in 2022.
Yeah, because of Peter Obi. A lot of people who won their elections.
That's why Banky W lost election in Lagos. Because people were just voting Labour Party, and they don't care about the name.
Just because of Peter Obi.
And it's a problem.
He came up with a huge brand. His brand alone was bigger than the party.
Trust me.
So a lot of people, most Labour Party candidates in office today are there because of Peter Obi.
Of course.
Including a member of House of Representatives representing my own constituency in my state. Because when I met with him, when I met with him, I asked him, how did you win this election? Because he won against a formidable opponent, against Elumelu, for instance. So just because of the big name, just because of Peter Obi. But unfortunately, a lot of them have not been living up to expectation. I mean, coming on the platform of Peter Obi to win elections, and a lot of them have not really been living up to expectation. Away from that, I'm coming back to Fubara right now. Just like you said, everything is playing out well for Mr. President. If you talk about the realms of power, he's controlling, I mean, all the aspects of the game right now as far as Rivers State is concerned. Whatever decision the president makes, it will still be in his favor. So even if the president chooses to pardon, so to speak, Fubara and restate him on June 12th, it will still favor Mr. President. Even if he doesn't restate him on June 12th, of course, they've had discussions. They must have finalized it. Right, I'm sure Fubara knows exactly what will happen, where he stands. He knows already. And he's been telling the people that, see, stop agitating, just relax. I know what to do. And of course, Wike too started shifting grounds, knowing that, of course, some people were actually pushing Fubara. The question again is, as Nigerian, as a public affairs analyst, where does that leave the people of Rivers State? Because so far, it's been about the selfish interests of political office holders. So that's what a lot of analysts are saying. It's been about their interest. Where does that leave the people of Rivers State? So
first off, you knew the president did not eventually sign any money to be allocated to Rivers. Because as a president, you cannot allocate state allocation when minority actually sit on a budget. So in December, when the president was making his speech, he said he did not acknowledge Rivers as a state because it does not have House of Assembly member. Now, that is one. Secondly, if Fubara, I feel he goofed too. But let's talk about the people. Now, the president also did something. He did not put a 7 military man to be a sole administrator. He put a retired military man.
But people will say military is military.
No, people are not seeing the difference. That's it. Now, whatever thing you say military is military, the power you have as a serving military man is actually different as a retired military man. Why? Because your power are indeed restricted, right? But the president just tried to play his game. He did not want to put a politician or a civilian person there. And to me, I feel by now, Rivers would have learned their lesson, because what dragged them to this stage is godfatherism and a lot of secrets involved. I know Fubara will return. I can't tell a particular date, but I know one thing about the president. He might actually bring Fubara maybe 2 days or a day before the June 12th. He might. Then they have a celebration of June 12th together as like, he might do it on that day and he might announce it after, because he knew whatever thing he's doing, like when you are seeing this coalition, I know you want to fight me. And I start seeing you, backing people that want to fight me. The honest truth is, I have my strategy too. And he's a president that he hardly talk. He don't just talk. But when he talks, he just wants to do it.
He's a strategist.
So I just feel like, well, he eventually released the state allocation for this sole administrator that is there now. He eventually released it, and I don't know whatever they have been doing with the money. I don't know what this man can achieve in the space of 6 months, other than to just maintain the status quo, pay salaries. You can't build anything. You can't, because the constitution don't even give you the constitution.
Mr. President also sent his power 2025 budgets to the National Assembly for them to approve.
Yes, that's what I said. I eventually released the fund for this sole administrator that is there. Now, the only problem I have there is maybe embezzlement will occur again. Maybe something will happen again. But all I just know is the president did that to save Fubara. If he hasn't done that, they will impeach Fubara and nothing will happen. See, after they now impeach Fubara, yes, they want to be chaos. He will now declare state of emergency. and by the time they come back, it's another administration. But I feel like the president knows the implication of impeaching Fubara because it's going to cause a lot of hatred and it will not finish on time. So it does feel like that's the best way he can come in.
All right, Robin, I'm still talking about the people of Rivers. Looking at the politics of Rivers, you know, a lot of people were actually supporting Fubara because they saw in him someone who's trying to get away from the grip of his godfather.
Can I say something?
Talking about Nyesom Wike.
Can I say something? A lot of people are supporting Fubara because he's fighting Wike, and they are against the APC. I said it right from time. See, things are, I'm sorry. The issue of Natasha, to a very large extent, Natasha was wrong. It was, to me, it was a false. She's a lawyer. And how can you be accusing somebody like that without evidence? Somebody of that high caliber.
No, she says she has evidence that she will prove her case in court.
Hello.
Make her case in court.
And they have been in court. They have been in court. As a lawyer, those should be like the first thing you should. You are not putting your jokers down, but you just say it a word of mouth. It's how many months now? And yet we are not seeing anything. Somebody who is quick to ignore the National Assembly and go on television station. I mean, I don't want to
yes.
But I'm just trying to say Nigeria, anything against PDP, wake some Nigerians 2 a.m. in the midnight.
So I was talking about the people of Rivers because, like I said, some people were actually supporting Fubara because they saw in him someone who was trying to stand up to his godfather, Nyesom Wike. That's why he got the sympathy of the people. The people were like, oh no, like Wike is oppressing this man. This man is trying to break free from his godfather. Why should a former governor, he's now FCT minister, why should he be dictating everything in Rivers State? So Fubara got the people's sympathy. He got the support of the people. And now I'm sure all of them will be feeling disappointed by the body language of Fubara. Because the politics of Rivers State dates back. Look at Wike himself, who is still, laying stronghold on Rivers politics right now. He himself broke away from godfatherism. Okay? We have people like Peter Odili who were there before, who Wike at one point said that Peter Odili, was his father, he would never go against him. He has spoken against Peter Odili publicly. Now we have Rotimi Amaechi. We've seen the back and forth between Rotimi Amaechi and Nyesom Wike, where Nyesom Wike claimed he actually made Rotimi Amaechi governor, that he would have been commissioner of finance, but he rejected it and said he wanted to remain chief of staff. Rotimi Amaechi came out to say, no, that's not true, that he just wanted Wike to be chief of staff because he wanted to supervise him directly.
Guys were friends right from their young age. Absolutely.
Good. That he wanted to supervise him directly. That's why he wanted him to remain chief of staff. That's how did Wike make him governor? They should ask Wike how he made him governor. But it has become so clear, it has become crystal clear that Wike has a very strong hold on Rivers State. When Amaechi was leaving, he tried to install his own candidate, but he failed. Wike just took over everything. I saw the frustration. I was watching everything on TV. I saw the frustration in Amaechi. A whole governor, he was just helpless. He couldn't do anything.
Is frustrated up to now because his political lineage in Rivers, it seems to be going down. Amaechi came out a few months ago, or weeks rather, to say there are 3 reasons why Nigerian politicians want to be in power: to steal, to kill, and to retain power. If ordinary person had mentioned that statement, he would have been arrested by the DSS. If a man who was Speaker of Rivers for 8 years, Governors of Rivers for 8 years, a Minister of Transportation for 8 years, 8 times 3, that's 24 years in power, would come out to say they only go there to steal, to kill, and to retain power. And he tried to retain the power because he was second in APC primaries.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he tried to retain power. So he's saying the truth. So somebody like that, I don't know.
He was second, but it was very far. I think
it was very far.
The president scored by 1,271.
Like 300,
310. Yes.
He was very far. But let's ignore the far. Let's talk the position.
All right. I'll just hold that thought. We really need to go on a break now. When we return, we will continue with this conversation. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. This is Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. We've been speaking to issues around us, issues in the nation, in our nation, our dear nation, Nigeria. In just a couple of days, talking about just Thursday, June 12, Nigeria will be celebrating 26 years of unbroken democratic rule. A lot of well-meaning Nigerians, including former President Goodluck Jonathan, has been calling on the president to reinstate the suspended governor of Rivers State. So I will be speaking to that and another issue on this segment of the program. Joining us right now in this conversation is Prince Ademola Oyedokun, a lawyer and public affairs analyst. Thank you for joining us on the show this morning.
Thank you so much for having me. And good morning, Nigerians. It's my pleasure being here once again.
Absolutely. And also joining us virtually is Barrister Nyesom Wike, a lawyer and human rights activist. Thank you, Barrister Wike, for joining us this morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
All right, Barrister Wike, I'd like to start with you. In a couple of days, it will be June 12, and some well-meaning Nigerians have been calling on Mr. President to pardon the suspended governor of Rivers State, Governor Siminalayi Fubara, and probably reinstate him on or before June 12. What's your take on that?
First of all, let me start by saying that I support the call because we have always said that the actions of the president is not right. And what the president did in Rivers State was completely wrong, because the president should have declared a state of emergency in Rivers State in the first place. So people now calling on the president to reinstate the governor and reinstate a properly democratically elected leadership in Rivers State, it's a good call. However, let me say this and let me state it clearly, that even if the president reinstates the democratic setting within Rivers State, it does not remove the fact that Tinubu is not a Democrat. It doesn't remove the fact that Tinubu has shown himself to be anti-democratic. And let me say this, he presented himself during the elections that he was a Democrat, he loved democracy, he would preserve democracy. But what we have seen from Tinubu's hand, especially for those of us who are from Rivers State, we have seen a man who has carried himself as a dictator of honors, on his own evolution, stood up, removed a democratically elected system of government within the state, and replaced it with an appointed sole administrator, setting Rivers State backward. For us, such a man cannot be ascribed to be a Democrat. He has nothing to talk about democracy, because he has not carried himself as a Democrat. He's a man who actually didn't just declare a state of emergency in Rivers State, but went ahead, suspended democratically elected people as against the provision, clear-cut provisions of the constitution of this country. And you ask yourself, what exactly are we dealing with? What exactly are these issues? And what makes a man democratic? You cannot be democratic in vacuum. For you to say you are a democratic person, it is by your action, by virtue of your deeds. But the deed of the president, the action of the president, has shown that the president is not a Democrat, and everything he has done is just by camouflage. And in all honesty, I keep telling people that democracy is not working in Africa, because check all the African countries, the 54 African nations. Check the 54 African nations. Which of the African nations is actually truly democratic? Which African nation is truly democratic? We just take these things and bamboozle ourselves with it and lie to ourselves that we are running the democracy. We're not running the democracy. Right now, even the typical opposition we have right now, what we even have, it's a one-man show. Trying to just imagine what will happen. Very soon now we're going to have a one-party state. We're coming towards that. Because the man is destroying opposition, using Nyesom Wike to as part of this to destroy the opposition within the country. This man knows what he's doing.
All right, Barrister Wike, thankfully we will still come to the opposition aspect of it. Please stay with us. Prince Oyedokun, I would like you to respond to that. Now, at the beginning of the show, the introduction, I talked about the actions of Mr. President declaring a state of emergency on March 18 in Rivers State, removing the governor, his deputy, and of course the State House of Assembly. A lot of people saw it as an aberration, citing Section 305 of the 1999 Constitution of Nigeria, which makes provision for declaration of state of emergency in the state, and which doesn't give the president any room to suspend a sitting governor. Critics have also pointed out to Section 188, which vests the authority of removing elected officials on the State House of Assembly. So what's your reaction to that? Barrister Nyesom Wike has just said it. He said it's an aberration. He doesn't believe the president is being democratic. He's in support of the call for Fubara'S reinstatement, but ab initio, he shouldn't have been suspended in the first place. How do you react to that, Prince Oyedepo?
I could see the passion with which my brother, Mr. Nwala, spoke. And gently, I will just put it that I disagree with him in all his submissions.
In all his submissions?
In all his submissions.
How
yes.
do you mean, sir?
Thank you very much. Putting the blame of what happened in the River State on the president is out of place. The president is not from River State. He holds no position there. The breakdown of law and order in River State is an internal problem of River State, which, if it was not nipped in the bud, would degenerate to a worse situation. And that terrible situation lingered for so long. It lingered for so long before the president, he had actually intervened on different occasions, calling the warring parties to meetings in Abuja, making resolutions and so on and so forth. The issue had gone to different courts, Federal High Court, Court of Appeal, then the Supreme Court decision, where the Supreme Court condemned a lot of unconstitutional actions of Governor Fubara, demolishing State House of Assembly building. Is that democracy? Is that democratic? Is that democracy? Operating without the approval of the majority of House of Assembly, assuming the position of the court, declaring their seat vacant. All of actions that Supreme Court later set aside. Now, coming back from Supreme Court, he was actually about to be removed through democratic process of House of Assembly, procedure of impeachment before the federal government through the presidency intervened. And that intervention, I'm very sure, must have struck Honorable Minister Nyesom Wike by surprise.
Absolutely.
It also came as a surprise to Fubara. And I can bet you, if that action had not been taken, only God knows how many lives we might have lost
all right,
in River State. Excuse me, sir, I'm not ended. Yeah. Secondly, on the issue of constitutionality of whether the president had the power to do it or not. Yes, there are many things that are not expressly provided in statute or in the Constitution, but it is subject to interpretation by court. In declaring state of emergency, if you have read that section 305 very well, you will see where the governor himself can call for the declaration.
Yes, he can invite the federal government.
Yes, he can invite the president to declare state of emergency. House of Assembly can invite this declaration of state of emergency. And then this is what you have to do. Then the procedure of how you do it is not spelled out in details in the Constitution. And this had been done before in Ekiti State. This had been done before in Plateau State. And the President Tinubu must have followed the precedent of what has happened before. So if anybody had thought that what the president did was wrong, what do? You don't just disparage the president. You go to court and ask the court to set it aside. But neither Wike nor the Fubara had gone to court to do that. Or even if they have done, the court has not come out with a pronouncement. The PDP governors did. The court has not come out with a pronouncement. And no lawyer, I say again, no lawyers can state with finality what the decision of the court will be in that. So as it stands now, there's what we call the presumption of regularity. So what the president did was regularly done until proved otherwise.
Presumptuously. Anyway, yes. So Prince Oyedepo, are you in any way justifying the actions of Mr. President? Because mind you, well-meaning Nigerians, including legal luminaries,
because the opinions are divergent.
I've stated clearly that it was an aberration. Even the Nigerian Bar Association, everyone, they said it was an aberration. So are you saying, Prince Oyedepo, are you categorically saying that you are justifying the actions of Mr. President, even though there is no provision in the
there is a provision for declaration of emergency
to suspend democratically elected officials?
There is a provision for the declaration of state of emergency.
Yes, but not for him, but not for the president to suspend democratically elected officials. There is a provision for declaration of a state of emergency. Absolutely.
And there are no two similar situations in every given event. There are no similar situations. There are situations that the governor may be left there and the peace will be maintained. There are situations where the governor may have to go, House of Assembly may be asked to remain there. It depends on the situation. And there was a particular law that people are saying whether the law is dead or whether the law is still alive, which was relied on by the president. The best step for anybody to take is to go to court. NBA has the power, has the statutory right to file what we call public interest litigation, to challenge the president if they are sure, if the president of MBA and the executive who came out with that resolution strongly believes that what the president has done was wrong. There is what we call in our association public interest litigation. NBA should have gone to court and seek for interpretation that will not be a precedent that we always fall back on if this kind of thing wants to happen in the future. They refuse to do that, and they are expressing their personal opinion, and they are forcing it on all members of NBA. The president has done what is right in this particular situation. And this is a situation where the House of Assembly had to be discarded. This is a situation
in
where,
your own opinion.
In my own opinion, this is a situation where the governor had to be discarded. And we have seen the governor himself come out to thank the president to have saved his head. Because as it is now, he still has the probability of coming back. What if the president, why, if he had been wronged, why is he thanking the president for saving him?
Well, that's a discussion for another day. Because of time, Robin Ibando, because of time, I'd like us to conclude on this particular one because before we shift gears and start discussing another topic. Just before you come in, Prince Oyedekun,
yes,
so
sir.
People are calling on Mr. President to pardon Fubara and restate him just because of June 12 as June 12 approaches. Do you see that happening? Because if truly the president is all about upholding democracy, he should allow democratically elected officials to have their way in the nation. So do you see him actually reinstating Fubara?
I think the answer to that is a foregone conclusion, in the sense that from day one, when the so-called declaration of emergency was made, the intention was to suspend him for initial period of 6 months. And that 6 months is to see the possibility of brokering peace among all the warring factions. And you can see, well, in the public, to the public knowledge, as we read in the news, Fubara and Wike are already mending their broken fences. They are already meeting. So we are very sure that the peace is advancing in Rivers State. But whether it's going to be recalled or not, or restored or not, I'm very sure the essence of declaring is to save him from outright removal that will not give him the chance of coming back. But suspending him, suspension is not a removal. It's suspension, is what it is, suspension. And that is to say he can come back. But whether he will come back or not before June 12th is what none of us can say.
All right, Prince.
Nobody should can say that. That is known to the president, either Fubara himself or Wike, depending on their private discussions.
We mentioned that.
All right, Prince. I really wish we can continue on this conversation, but because of time, I would like us to look into something else. Barrister Chetanwala, please stay with us. When we return, we will continue with this conversation as we look into other issues.